So my inspiration for this lesson came from Jackson Pollock, who is a famous painter who had a very different style than a lot of painters before him. He made this and many others. This one is called Lavender Mist. And basically what he did, he worked in a barn, he worked with house paint, and he would splatter the paint. He would make huge messes. He'd get his hands in the paint. If a fly landed on his painting, he would just keep going. If a penny fell out of his pocket, well, now that's part of the painting. He was not afraid to get messy. And today, we're gonna be getting a little messy too, just like Jackson Pollock. Since there will be some paint splattering today, you are required to wear our lovely paint shirts. The first paper that you're going to create is actually your background paper. So for this one, we're going to be splatter painting our black background with white paint to represent stars. So again, we're using tin foil as our palette today. You can go ahead and get some white paint on the tin foil if there isn't already some there. And you have two options for splatter painting, and they both make kind of different designs. So for the first one, I'm using plenty of water and a nice big paintbrush. And then the technique is you can put out your finger and you're just tapping the brush along your finger and it will splatter the paper. Now I also have toothbrushes, and that gives more of a fine splatter, a fine mist. So you can use water and paint, mix it around in your toothbrush. This one will get your fingers messy, but this one you are just using your thumb and rubbing it across the bristles, and it will kind of splatter your paper with a very fine mist. You will get 6 pieces of quarter-sized paper and then 1 half sheet. It is your job today to fill all of these papers with color using whichever technique you'd like. Okay, first technique is sponge painting. So I'll have a variety of sponges and a bucket of water here. You're also going to see aluminum foil on the table. That is going to serve as our palette. So we're gonna keep cool colors on one piece of tin foil and then warm colors on another. So I think I'm gonna use the warm colors. So I'll just put a little bit of yellow paint, a little bit of orange. It's okay if they mix together a bit. A little bit of red here. Okay. And you're gonna take your sponge, make sure to wring it out really well, but we do need to be gentle. I do not wanna see the sponges torn up. So, okay, it's wrung out, and now I'm just going to dab my sponge into the paint, and then get some more here, and put it right on my paper. Voila. Next up are texture rubbings. So I have a variety of lace and fabric here. You're going to put that under your paper. So put this fabric under my paper. I can feel the bumps, the texture, the way that it feels. And now I'm going to take a crayon that has been peeled, and I can, let's see, I think I'm going to use this color, and I'm just going to rub the crayon on its side all the way across my paper. Okay, so that was the texture of this fabric. If you want to go over it with another color to just add some interest, so now I'm just rubbing some green on top of that. There you go. All right, technique number 3 is doing water resist with crayon and watercolor paints. So for this one, you're going to start by just drawing an abstract design with a crayon. So I think I'm just going to do some swirls here with my crayons. You can absolutely do more than one color. Okay, I'm kind of overlapping here. So I'll do one more. Okay, so I've done my design with crayon, and now you're just going to use watercolors and paint over the whole thing. All right, station number 4 is chalk pastels. They're very messy, but they look really nice when you're done. So I think I'm going to use some greens. I haven't done that with any of the colors yet. So again, I'm using this on its side. Okay, and I think I'll do a darker green over here. Maybe add in some yellow. Okay. All right, so it kind of looks like this right now, but the magic happens when you blend. So I'm just going to take my fingers and blend the colors together a little bit. Okay, so the white background is kind of disappearing. Okay, and now that's what it looks like when it's all blended together. Next up is a childhood favorite, finger painting. So for this one, I thought instead of using a palette, we'll just put the paint directly on your paper. Just a tiny bit will do, okay? It does come out kind of fast, so let's just try not to be wasteful. So for this one, I'm doing a little bit of purple paint and a little bit of blue. I think just mixing 2 colors would look nice. Okay, and then get ready to get your hands dirty. So, very nice. All right, check that out. Now, let's talk about cleaning our hands. A lot of these stations are going to be a little bit messy in your hands, especially with that finger paint, and the chalk pastels will be covered. And before you want to make your next paper, you'll want to clean up a little bit. I have 3 sinks in the room. You are free to use any of those sinks, but if there's someone already at the sink, you need to go to a different one or form a line. We're not going to be all putting our hands in the sink at the same time. Now, a note about paper towels. After you rinse off your hands, and for most of this, you just need to rinse it off with water real quick. You don't even probably need to use the soap. But once your hands are wet, they're clean, just wipe them quickly on your shirt, your paint shirt, and move on to your next paper making adventure. After each paper that you make, you're going to make your way over to the drying station. Our black paper that has been splatter painted, make sure your name's on it, and then you can just lift up and put that on our movable drying racks. Now, the smaller pieces of paper are going to go on our metal drying rack.